noticed that every year my 11th grade students struggle with cellular division, mitosis, and more, meiosis. These are the processes with which nucleus of a cell divides, and the cell divides to create two identical cells, or when sex cells are formed with half the amount of genetic material. This way, when they combine at fertilization, there is a full, correct amount of DNA again. Normally this section would be notes, PowerPoint, lecture scenario. This can get to be kind of boring for the students. So I decided to try something different. I've provided notes that guide their textbook readings. Now they have some knowledge of the topic, and everyone should be able to have something to bring to the table when we have classroom discussion. My thought is that if I can train them to read their books before we talk about it in class, they will have better formulated questions for each other and for me. I created a presentation to guide our discussion. More or less, questions and important images for students to tell me about from what they've learned. The presentation is accompanied by a few videos of other teachers' podcasts via YouTube. His explanations are good, and why should I recreate the wheel? Although I'd like to eventually flip my own classroom like his. Finally, I add some physical manipulatives. Students will create the process. This change in my way of teaching tackles cognitive apprenticeship and social constructivism, because I will be initially training them, giving them info about the topic we will be discussing, but I plan on them being more of the producers, and me as being more of a facilitator, being more and more removed from the teaching part. Additionally, the modeling gives me a chance to show them how it works, and then I ask for them to recreate it for me. This should work especially well because I plan to do a demo of how mitosis first works, and then they can show me how meiosis works after that. The best way to measure their success, quantitatively, was to compare the students' test averages from last year to this year. Now that there have been major changes to the way that this class is ran, along with new activities to enhance and hopefully ingrain cellular division into their heads. Even though these are two different groups of students from year to year, they have some of the same science classes before, and students themselves are randomized enough that hopefully we can show improvement. It will be important to continue this process and compare scores along the way to see if this trend continues.